California cannabis farmers call 2024 the best harvest season, and they're hoping that prices will follow. That's right. California cannabis farmers growing their plants under the sun. The weather cooperated during the 2024 growing season. Cold, wet spring followed by a hot, dry summer with fewer wildfires combined to improve yields and potentially prices. Grown marijuana is celebrated for its rich terpene profiles and earthy, distinct aromas. Enthusiasts often describe as more natural or complex than indoor-grown strains. For Emerald Triangle farmers, this could be the best harvest season I've ever seen, said John Casali, who grew up growing cannabis on Huckleberry Hill Farms in Humboldt County. Soul Spirit Farm co-founder Judy Nelson told MJ Biz Daily that the weather delayed spring planting, so he was still bringing in the last of the Croptober harvest in Trinity County. Nelson said planting and harvesting late is a double-edged sword. Moisture from the spring rains keep the wildfires at bay, but a later harvest could put the crop at risk for mold as California enters its rainy season. It's always a little nerve-wracking because it starts to rain and you get mold, Nelson said, noting that cultivars still left in the ground last week were mold-resistant. It was nice, a really nice summer for us. We've had fires around us for the past 4 years. This is the first year in a while that we haven't been impacted by the smoke. Soul Spirit flower is sold almost exclusively in farms' branded compostable packaging. Endeavor, Nelson admits, is a lot of work, but worth the effort to control pricing and to tell the brand story. Soul Spirit's plants are certified regenerative, which allows the company to price its flower higher than most of the other brands. There are tiers to sun-grown, just like any other product, Nelson said. There's mass-produced, there's the mids, and then there's the top shelf, which is most of what is coming out of the Emerald Triangle. We're a small craft farm, so our quality is very top tier of sun-grown, he said. Nelson said she was able to sell Soul Spirit flower for as much as 3.5 times more than the lowest tier of mass-produced flower, as people recognize the quality and the time the company puts into its product. Like most California craft marijuana growers, Soul Spirit Farm does not have contracts in place for its branded products. Nelson did say, though, that I have dispensaries that have supported my brand since 2018. They are loyal to me, and their customers have developed an affinity for the brand. Those dispensaries will continue to buy from me as long as the quality stands up. Nelson also sells cannabis to bulk and to Soulful, a Bay Area retail chain that packages it as its own brand. Manufacturers who want specific sought-after genetics, such as Huckleberry Hill Farms' award-winning Whitehorn Rose, likely have contracts in place because customers line up for the products. The Green Network and iPoppy purchased Huckleberry Hill's entire crop before the harvest even began, Solly said. The only way forward for small farmers is with legacy genetics, he added. With Whitehorn Rose, we've had huge demand to share this cultivar with manufacturers, distributors, or farmers. 2026 will be the first time it's released to the public, and we'll be doing licensing agreements, he added. Nelson said the pesticide scandal that surfaced in California this year has reignited consumer interest in sun-grown cannabis from craft farms. She expects prices for craft flower will start to climb as well. Said, I anticipate we're going to see higher demand for products like ours because they're rare and becoming more rare as our neighbors have to drop out of the market. Consumers are more aware of quality. They feel better. They want to make sure that what they're getting is clean. After learning about the research that determined even organic pesticides are harmful when heated up, Carpinteria-based Autumn Brands eliminated all pesticides from its 5.5-acre greenhouse cultivation operations. The company also threw away tens of thousands of marijuana plants valued at hundreds of thousands of dollars, transitioned to an integrated pest management system using ladybugs native to California to eliminate pests. He said it took a number of years to get that dialed in, and after 7 years, we have a perfect ecosystem. You can wash your fruits and vegetables, but you can't wash your weed. Climate between the ocean and the mountains where Autumn Brands Farms is located is perfect for growing cannabis, Shelton added. We still get natural light, and we still can protect the plants from the elements. While some of California's marijuana farmers were close to wildfires, the overall threat was less severe this year, allowing farmers to focus on their crops. The reprieve from the devastating fires of previous years provided a much-needed boost to the industry. Amaranth Farms in Humboldt County also has benefited from its location near the Pacific coast. It's far enough away from the national forest land to buffer from any wildfires. If you are inland, you border some of it, and it can be really detrimental, said Naya Hessler, whose family has operated Amaranth Farms since the 1970s. Though Hessler expects an abundance of sun-grown marijuana will flood the market this year, he is hopeful that small craft cannabis flower will bring in about $500 per pound. That keeps everybody in business, he said. About 90% of the businesses are gone. Humboldt County started with about 1,200 farms. Now I think we're down to 250 farms, he added. Louis Samuel, CEO of licensed marijuana delivery company Golden State Cannabis, said many Humboldt County farms slowed production after large multi-state operators entered the market, causing prices to tank. The prices hit $500 in 2023. Well, Triangle growers started planting again, forcing prices back down to $300 to $350, level that Samuel says doesn't allow farmers to feed their families or even pay their mortgage. And so, Samuel said, there's a renewed sense of optimism among craft farmers in the Triangle. This year, the prices dropped way down low, but you don't feel the same sense of depression as in 21, Samuel said. It's just acceptance. Don't say anymore, this is my last year and I'm out. And there's a sense of resilience for people who have dialed in their process. I'm Todd Denkin with High 9 News, and California says they have their best harvest in 2024. You guys seeing price drops?
It's down. That $500, we're well past that, so it's about half of that at best on the wholesale market for bulk depths. And guess what? It might even go down lower if more people get in there. So yeah, as the cannabis industry grows, the problem is it's going to wax away like this every year. As people get out and they get back in because the prices are going back up, it's sustaining itself. It's just really troublesome without the ability to get some of this product legally to other places. It's a shame. This is just shameful. It's a tragedy. I don't know how else to put it. I mean, the farmers, the people that really need it are getting pinched the most because there's so many people within that supply chain in the middle of that product. And it's a tragedy. And it's like that with our food supply too. It's anything. So it's trash. We got to treat our farmers better. That's the reality. And the other reality is that there's just a sea of subpar products being produced. There's not this high quality product being produced by every farm. There is,
But if there was no demand for it, it wouldn't be produced.
No, there's a demand for flour. That's the whole point. That's why it's shameful, Todd, because there's obviously this market that is, gonna find a way to consume. So if you're not allowing somebody to do it at the highest level, and you're just putting them in a position where they're going to have to like pick and choose between paying their mortgage and continuing their business, it's terrible. There's
100%.
It doesn't make sense.
But the price eventually over time has to come down, right? I mean, the reason the price was so high because of the risk that all the growers and distributors were taking, right? That risk is gone.
Just risk. COGS, not just risk COGS. I mean, there was a time not so long ago, maybe even yesterday, where the trimmer was making more than the farmer. So there's also just the cost. The thing I think that's also important about this article is while it's a ray of, bright hope, these two farmers that were highlighted in this article are extraordinarily above average in what they're doing in terms of branding their farm, branding proprietary genetics. It talks about white thorn rose. It talks about how the entire crop was taken by an award-winning extract company. And not every farmer up in the hills of Mendocino and Humboldt has got white thorn rose or has got the Lance or has got something that is really at the forefront of what the California consumer wants to enjoy. So I think this article is as much about genetic selection for farmers and the job they have to do besides farming to make sure that their little 10K or their little hamlet, their little place on the hill is being, that they're telling the story. I mean, Johnny Casale's got a story that if you watch one of these podcasts, you'll be in tears listening to his journey. So people buy into the product, but they also buy products where they have a connection to the manufacturer, to the operator, to the grower. And Judy and Johnny have both done an extraordinary job of positioning themselves. And I think that's one of the primary takeaways here. Yes, it's genetics. Yes, it's good flower, but it's also farmers telling their story and allowing the customer to resonate with that journey that they've had.
No, that's absolutely right.
And you know what they've done? I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say big shout out to them, but also it's like a lot of the genetic stuff, you can't grow the same genetics in, let's say, Santa Barbara. The microclimates play a big role in the genetic selection and what grows well where. Like in Santa Barbara, you're not growing gelato. If you are, it's not coming out that great. So it's just one of those things where certain strains are going to do better in certain microclimates. Huckleberry Hill is, in the heart of the heart. So they're growing, season, and the climate there is perfect for what they're doing. And it's just adaptation. But also, I think that a lot of the problem is that we're not hearing the story from the farmer. We're hearing the story from the brands. And so the brands are going to the farm and buying the weed, and then they're telling their story. And we're not getting the farmer story. And again, that's why they're getting pinched, because we don't know their story. So hopefully it'll change. Hopefully there is more, farm to blunt, type situation.
I mean, I think that we also need to, here's where people think I'm an asshole, but it's just the truth, and it's an inconvenient truth. Like, we told them fucking 5 years ago, stop growing cakes. What do you have? Crop's over. Oh, I got a bunch of ice cream cake. Cool. Nobody wants to fucking buy that. It's not good enough to be like, I've always sold it. Because, yeah, you always sold it when not everybody had a fucking box of flour to buy. You need to have a box that is trimmed well, that looks good, that smokes well, that you've done. It's not good enough, and this is unfortunate, and it's sad for people to fall out of things. I totally understand. But this is kind of where we thin out the pack. And like both these farms mentioned are amazing. Judy is phenomenal. There's actually a picture of her on my fridge. They do amazing work, and they put extra time into making sure that all of their values come through in their brand. So shout out to them. And they've done things that other farmers haven't done, which is not stand there, punch the air, stomp their fists in the ground, and throw a hissy fit and play poor me. They've gone and figured out how to market themselves, how to build a brand, how to do what it takes to survive. And so shout out to them. They should still be here.
How do I get a picture of me on your fridge?
I don't want one.
You already has one.
Oh, that was harsh, but I love that
mirror.
That's cute. Yeah. I mean, Yarrow, all you got to do is next time you go over there, just put a little mirror there, and then you know what I'm saying.
I need a picture right next to Judy.
Yarrow does not know where I live.
I know you live in the thankless land of not having a picture of Yarrow Kubrin on your fridge, and that's a tough place to reside.
Fail.
All right, well and if you're a farmer and you're listening, stop growing fucking cakes. We don't want them.
Interesting. I'll
put a picture of my cakes on your fridge.
Simone and I were fortunate enough to try some of this stuff over the weekend. I will say, it tasted very, very good.
Bobby's doing big things.
Yeah, big shout out Samsky and his wife Kirsty. They're awesome people, amazing energy, amazing vibes. But like, they obviously have an eye on a specific thing, and I love the Whitethorn Rose. It's so unique. He did have something else that we tried. We tried some hash. I think it was called Paradise, or it was Huckleberry Hill back cross to the Paradise or something like that. And this was amazing. So that's, something to look forward to for everybody that's a fan of their hash. But I mean, there's like, as a maker and as a taster, I love to try everyone's stuff. So it's like, it's really good when you get to have these, beautiful, unique flavors from the mountain that don't make it down south very often. And obviously it's so good that somebody's buying out the whole crop. So big shout out to everyone in between that supply chain, because they're doing great work and it's obvious.
And shout out to Cherry Blossom Bell, who won her first Emerald Cup like 10 years after her brother won his first with the Whitethorn Rose hash. We got to judge that for the solventless judging in 2021. So.
You know what troubles me is we've got these two amazing stories, And what I think about is the farmers on the hill that are just struggling to make ends meet, that haven't been very intentional in telling their story over the last X number of years, and who have amazing stories that deserve to be told. And I think about those stories and the fact that those can be a lifeline. Those can be the difference for some of these people in terms of the opportunity for collabs or to be in an extract. And so my prayer for 2025 is that those farmers that are still fighting the good fight and operating within the triangle or adjacent to the triangle start to tell their stories, or start to work with people who will tell their stories, because there's a lot of stories out there that deserve to be celebrated and told.